price target for our stock, and I think it's just hitting now for 2027, because we do have a 5-year investment time horizon, is our expected value is roughly $2,000, and that's within a range of $1,400 to $2,500, our bear and bull case.
So that was Cathie Wood's Tesla stock price prediction for 2027. She has a bear case of $1,400 per share, an expected case of $2,000 per share, and a bull case of $2,500 per share. In this video, we are going to model out some possible price predictions for Tesla stock for 2030. And we're going to discuss exactly how many shares you would need and how much that would cost you as of today's Tesla stock price to actually be able to retire in 2030, purely off of Tesla. And we'll do this for each of our target price points. And we'll talk about the potential catalysts for Tesla that could actually drive the stock to these price points or maybe even higher. We're going to have 3 very different price targets. We're going to have a bear case, an expected case, and then a bullish case, or an extra bullish case that is going to seem quite mental. So we've just heard Cathie Wood saying that they are predicting Tesla to be at $2,000 per share by 2027. But in this video, we are basing this on 2030. So what we're going to do is we're going to take their bullish case of 2,500 by 2027, and we're going to make that our bear case for 2030. And then for our expected price target, I've read many different sources, looked at lots of different price prediction videos, and I'm going to take an average and call it $8,000 per share. And then for our extra bull case, we are going all out here. We are having a price prediction of $22,000 per share. Now this is mental, I know, and we'll get on to exactly where this has come from later on in the video. You've only got to look at a few different sources out there and you will see there is such variability when it comes to Tesla price predictions. The point is, no one really knows and everyone is just making their own judgment based on their own research. And with a stock like Tesla specifically, it's pretty unpredictable. The trajectory of the stock itself really depends on many things falling into place and what actually happens. And we can't really predict that with certainty anyway. So that's why we are modeling out different scenarios. I just want to quickly say that these price predictions in this video today aren't my personal Tesla price stock predictions. If you want to see a video about that, let me know. But I just thought it'd be interesting to include a few different diverse price predictions that I've seen out there and what you would actually have to invest to be able to retire on Tesla stock based on these different models. The big catalysts right now for Tesla, which could potentially push the stock price very, very high if all of these things happen, are solving full self-driving FSD and then getting a robo-taxi fleet up and running. And this would operate more like a SaaS model in terms of the margins, etc. And then getting the Tesla bot fully up and running and getting that Tesla bot to actually work in factories, to do low skill, high danger work, which would add immense value and save a lot of people a lot of time. Musk himself has actually said that when it comes to Optimus, which is the Tesla bot, he thinks it will be worth way more than the car business and more than full self-driving. And this all links together, right? The Tesla bot, full self-driving vehicles, all of that, they're not independent of each other. They're using a lot of the same technology in the cars for full self-driving as they're putting in the bot. So it's all going to be hopefully pushed together. Alongside this will be the addition of even more car companies joining Tesla's supercharging network. We've already seen Ford, Rivian and GM, but this is just going to expand even more in my opinion. And then on top of this, we could see Tesla licensing out FSD to other companies, which would be massive. And it's also possible that in the future, Tesla car owners will be able to loan their Teslas out to the robo-taxi fleet. On top of this, we have the release of the Cybertruck. I've actually seen pictures of the Cybertruck out and about now, which is pretty cool. I think it might be going through some customer testing. I'm not really sure. Myself, I don't really see me owning a Cybertruck. I don't want one particularly. But having said that, I'm not really the average customer for one of these. And apparently there are millions on pre-order. The official Tesla website says that the Cybertruck is designed to have the utility of a truck with sports car performance. And then we have the future release of the mass affordable $25,000 hatchback, which is a more affordable EV for the masses. And I've not finished there. There are more catalysts coming up for Tesla. Tesla could then go on to sort out their own lithium production, which would of course stop the EV bottleneck that they're currently seeing and will increase their margins further. On top of this, they could continue to expand their gigafactories and continually cost cutting in manufacturing, which sounds boring as an investor, I know, but it's pretty important. And lastly, they continue to grow in their energy sector, which no one really speaks about, but they've got solar roofs, they've got the Powerwall, which is the residential side of it, power packs, which is more the business side of it, and they've got their mega packs, which is more for utilities and large scale commercial projects. And this area has been seen to be rapidly growing. Now, Cathie Wood's price prediction of $2,000 per share by 2027 as her expected case is dependent on the robo-taxi fleet. But of course, with autonomous driving and actually building out this robo-taxi fleet, there are a lot of regulatory barriers and hoops that need to be jumped through. So it could not happen that fast. So it may be the case that this doesn't all align and actually work out by 2027. Although they've modeled it out and believe it could start coming in 2024 as early as next year. I don't really think it's a case of if, just more of a case of when. The point about why this whole full self-driving thing will really send the stock crazy is because it will completely revolutionize the transport business, and it will send the market cap of Tesla very high. This price is also based on Tesla continuing to hit targets and selling millions of vehicles. They have a target of selling 20 million vehicles by 2030, but for our bear case prediction of the stock getting to 2,500 by 2030, we are accounting for them actually missing that target and coming in at about 50% of that, with reasonable ramp up in production and also them hitting about a 25% margin per vehicle. And obviously any price cuts could affect this too. This also assumes that they begin building a fleet of robo-taxis and they drive the energy side of the business higher, and also they get more companies on the supercharger network. Now, the expected price target of $8,000 per share will be if they hit their target of 20 million vehicles sold, but they do this maybe a couple of years late. But people are able to see that they're very close to achieving this. They will continue to improve their margins. They will have their Cybertruck. They will have more cars using their network. They will have a cheaper model on sale. And full self-driving will be fully out there, and the robo-taxi fleet will be starting to take place, netting Tesla more revenue. For this $8,000 per share model, the Tesla bot will also be working in the Tesla factory, but nowhere else really. No other companies will be using this yet, and it definitely won't be in the homes. And this prediction also assumes that their energy sector is continually growing at a decent rate. Now let's speak about our extra bullish case of $22,000 per share by 2030. And this price prediction has also come from the ARK team. Now, for Tesla stock to be able to achieve this sort of price per share by 2030, there are a lot of things that need to fall into place. Tesla would have to have a massive robo-taxi fleet. They would have to have a fleet at scale. They would have to be licensing their FSD and everything else we've already discussed, including growing the energy business further as well. Oh, and also they would need to have their Tesla bot not only working in the Tesla factories, but also in factories for other companies, and even have the Tesla bot available to work in the home. They could get this bot, this Optimus Tesla bot, to basically carry out basic functions when you purchase it in your home. And then they could have like a model where you almost go onto the App Store and you purchase different features you want it to have. So if you want your bot to be able to tend to your garden, you add the gardening function on and you pay extra for that. And think about how big this could be. This is a real catalyst to the stock price going crazy. You have full self-driving as one catalyst, and then you have the bot as another catalyst. And if these two things happen along with everything else we've discussed, this is how Tesla stock gets to that crazy $22,000, even more per share. But if you think about how much an average person can work, like 40 hours per week, right? And this person, the average person, they need to sleep, they need to eat, they need to take breaks, they will chat with their colleagues, they will go home, they will take vacation, they won't even be productive most of the time they're at work. But a bot, apart from the time that it's going to be charging, is fully efficient all of the time. You don't need to give a bot vacation to take away with its family. You don't need to give them breaks to go to the toilet. They are going to work hard continuously. And imagine companies would be all over this. They could have a staff network working at full capacity 24 hours a day. It would completely change the game. So I have to ask myself, does it seem so wild when we've actually seen Tesla stock do like 1,710% increase over a short time period between November 2019 and November 2021? And this was without the robo-taxi fleet, and this was without more vehicles and without the bot. Right, so now how many shares, based on these 3 different price points that we've just discussed, would you need to own to be able to retire in 2030? And we're going to talk about the UK specifically, as that's where I live. To figure this out, we first have to think about the cost of living. Right now, in my opinion, an individual person would live comfortably and have a pretty decent lifestyle if they had between £1,800 and £2,500 each month. Obviously, it depends on your lifestyle and whereabouts you live as well. So let's just call that £2,000 that you would need right now to live comfortably as an individual person living in the UK. And then we need to adjust for inflation. So let's assume an inflation rate of 5%. The Bank of England have set themselves a target of 2%, but I feel that that's pretty low and we're not really hitting that right now. So I'm going to be optimistic and set our inflation rate at 5%. So this means that you would need £3,400 a month in 2030. A total withdrawal of £40,800 per year. This is assuming that you have no debt that you need to pay off and you've already paid off your house, etc., etc. These things take a lot of assumptions. I couldn't possibly model out every single scenario that could happen, so just take this with a pinch of salt. Enjoy the video for what it is and maybe just use it as your catalyst to go and make your own price predictions and start modeling out how many shares you would need to retire by a certain year. The average length of retirement is about 20 years, so we're going to use that in this model today. If you plan to retire earlier, then obviously factor this in too. We also have to think about, on average, how much Tesla stock could appreciate each year post 2030. Well, it does really depend, and it's really hard to predict this, but Tesla has been pretty crazy so far. How long can a company with such growth continue like they have been before they start becoming a more mature company with less growth? I don't think this is happening anytime soon for Tesla, given the catalysts that we've been speaking about that are still upcoming. In my opinion, they still are going to be a growth company for a while longer. I'm going to be pretty bullish here for a lot of people. I don't think this is that bullish, to be honest, but for a lot of people, this will seem crazy. I'm going to say that they are going to continue to outperform the S&P 500 index. And I'm going to say that they're going to have an average yearly capital appreciation of 15%, which I actually think is quite modest if you look at previous data and what's coming up for this company. So how much would you actually need to retire by 2030? Well, it's not as much as you probably think if you take into account that the stock you own, so the Tesla stock, will continue to appreciate by 15% year over year. I know, a lot of assumptions, but let's just have a look at this table I made. On the left, we have the years going from 2030 to 2050 because we are modeling out a 20-year period of retirement, which is the average. And then you've got the starting pot. So you can see here, 320,000. This is the amount of money that you would need to start your retirement in 2030. So your starting pot of money. And this model is assuming that Tesla stock is going to appreciate by 15% per year. So that's what you can see in the next column. Then we've got the balance after you've received the 15%. And then in this column, we can see the withdrawal amount that you would withdraw from your pot every single year. So your expenses, your living expenses, and this is increasing by 1% per year. It starts at 40,800 because that is the 3,400 per month that we said you would need by 2030. And then it increases by 1% every single year in retirement. This model is assuming that as retirement goes on, you'll basically experience different health levels, different things will be going on in life. Sometimes you will need more money, sometimes you'll need less money. So we're going to average it out and just increase this by 1% every single year. And then on the right hand column is just the amount that you're left over after you withdraw. So we're just going to run through a couple of years here, and then you can pause the video and look all through this if you want to. So you're going to start your retirement in 2030. Your pot is going to sit at £320,000, which doesn't seem that much, but if you're investing into a company like Tesla, you're going to be expecting, like I said, to receive the capital appreciation each year of about 15%. So 320,000 is your starting pot. In the first year, you're not actually going to get that capital appreciation because you haven't had an entire year yet. So you're just going to be withdrawing the 40,800 that you need to live on. That's going to leave you with this figure here, and then that's going to move into year 2. Then you're going to get your capital appreciation. So assuming that on average Tesla is appreciating by 15%, you will then net yourself 41,880 on top of your pension pot already. This will leave you with this new balance, but then you're going to be withdrawing slightly more than you did in your first year, which after that, you're going to be left with this figure here, £279,872, which will move into the next year. So you can see that continues all the way up until 2050 in your last year of retirement. Obviously, it's never going to work out quite like this, but you can see here, you've still got money left over, assuming these things that we've spoken about, assuming that you're going to get the 15% on average per year, and you're not going to need to withdraw more than these figures here. So this leaves you with a nice little bit of money to either leave with someone else when you pass away, whatever, that's really morbid, or it just gives you a little bit more of a cushion. Obviously, this is not accounting for any tax or any life events that could wipe a lot of this money out. Personally, for me, I wouldn't feel comfortable retiring on 320,000 because I wouldn't want to assume that a stock is going to be able to return me 15% on average. But if there's any stock that I'm going to bet on in the future, one of them is going to be Tesla. We already know that on this channel. So I would probably want a little bit more money sitting there, but it's really interesting to actually see that if you are able to find a stock that is going to appreciate so much year on year, you actually don't need that much money to retire. And then we've got this table here, which shows us for each of our different models, so our bear case, our expected case, and our bull case, how many shares of Tesla you would need to buy right now to have enough money in 2030 to be able to retire. So for our bear case, you would need 162.7 shares. For our expected case, only 50.9 shares. And for our extra bullish case, only 18.5 shares. Now, this makes me feel pretty good because I own about 30 shares right now. So I'm on my way to the expected case. And if the bull case does happen, I would have quite a nice pot of money sitting there in 2030, if it happens. I don't feel comfortable putting all of my eggs in this basket, so I'm going to keep accumulating Tesla shares as much as I possibly can over the next few years. So if you were to do this right now, the current cost in pounds are on the right hand side. For our bear case, nearly £33,000. Our expected case, £10,200. And for our bullish case, just short of £4,000. Let me know what your bullish, bear and expected price targets are for Tesla in the comments below. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. It took a lot of effort and time, but if anything, I just hope it gives you an idea to maybe go and actually model this out for yourself. Do let me know if you've enjoyed it and you want to see more like this in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time in another video.